Hey guys, welcome to the City Life Church Live After Show. This is just an opportunity for you to connect with us as the SLT. If you're not sure what that stands for, it stands for Senior Leadership Team. And we just love to have this opportunity really to connect with you. If you've got questions, comments, testimonies, thoughts, feedback, we would love to hear from you. And so feel free to pop your comments in the chat wherever you're watching this, and we'd love to be able to respond to some of those. It's also, this is a time when we reflect a little bit on how the service went, and if there's any special notices that we didn't give in the service that we want to share, we can also share them as well. So welcome, Laura, Wynell, Paul. It's good to have you guys here.
Yeah, good to be here.
So how did you guys find the service today?
Very informative. And I think for those of us that didn't know what people's roles were, now we have a much clearer view as to what people do interact with their life groups, interact with us as senior leaders, and just moving the whole thing forward in this time.
Brilliant. Wynell, any thoughts from you?
Yeah, I think it was really good hearing from different people. I think as well as what Paul said, it's just good for people to hear from people that they don't normally hear from on these broadcasts. And also, just hoping it'll help people to see, some of our life group leaders and hear from them.
What about you, Laura?
I think it was just nice seeing people in their homes, wasn't it? We've all missed people, haven't we? We've missed being with people, so it's just nice to get an insight into what they've been doing during this time.
Definitely. And obviously, the people that we were interviewing were all life group leaders, and which we hadn't planned. There was kind of nothing strategic about that, but it was really good to connect with people. And there's been so much going on behind the scenes of people just reaching out and caring for one another and sharing, which has been really, really inspiring. And I know for myself, for Laura, for Wynell and Paul, Life Group has played a really big role, even more so in this season that we're in, just having that sense of family, community, and togetherness. So, Paul and Wynell, do you want to share a little bit about how your life groups have been going on? I know that some of the life groups have taken a little bit of a break from maybe the meetings during August, but then there has been a lot of kind of daily feeds, a lot of people connecting through Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp and text and things like that. So there's that been daily connection. But do you just want to share a bit about how life group's been going for you guys?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, so I lead God's Mighty Warriors, and a lot of people didn't know about that. We kind of piloted that one the fall or autumn last year. And just thinking that it helped because it was mainly all ladies. And we were able to then multiply out of that. And that's why we have now kicked off with another ladies life group that's going to be starting. And really excited about that. Well, we've connected with WhatsApp and keeping up with each other, and I think that's really key. But we do take a break every year for about 6 weeks, and that just gives everybody a chance to regroup.
We're getting a few comments that people can't hear your microphone, so at all.
Still having this problem, can you believe? Is that better? I don't know. I didn't have
Is there any,
I don't think it's on.
I don't think it's on at all.
So I didn't touch it, so I don't know. Did we turn it off?
It wasn't on.
Okay. Well, I apologize for that. I kind of had the same different times for being muted when we first started all of this. So anyway, I was just saying about God's Mighty Warriors in a ladies' life group that we kind of piloted that last autumn. And we had a great time. Then we shifted to online, but we managed to get a full about 6 to 7 weeks in, and then we went to online. But now out of that, we've multiplied into another ladies' life group, which is going to be starting in about 10 days' time. I'm really excited about that. So now we have 2 options for women. So it's been really great.
Awesome. Paul?
Yeah, and the men's life group, we have a real diverse bunch of guys in life group, and I co-lead it with your brother David, and we have a really good time on a Monday night from 7:30 to 8:30 and it is just an hour. You know, the men know when to stop talking. Not like the women. No, I'm just joking. But it's great. And some weeks we have 17 guys, and we bounce between 11 to 17 people. But we have guys joining us not only from Portsmouth, but we have one guy that joins us from Hull, and we have one in Slough, and we have one all the way in Germany. Eagle jumps in with us every week on a Monday night, and it's a great time for men to share together, get into the Word, and really discover what the Scriptures have got to say for us in this time. And we really enjoy it. And if you're a guy and you're not connected in any way to a life group, get in contact with us through the church office, and David or myself will get in contact with you, and we chat to each other most days via WhatsApp. So it's a really nice, tight group of men, but we're ready to expand.
Brilliant. Absolutely love that. Laura, I know that you and I are in the same group, but do you want to share a little bit about how Life Group has been really helpful to you during the season?
Yeah, so we were talking the other day, weren't we, me and you, about how it's one of my main connections with people. So it's where I get to just hang out with people and fellowship with people, and we're not getting the same kind of thing from church at the moment. Oh, we're still getting to hang out online, but it's not the same kind of connection. So being together on Zoom has been so useful for me to just we share prayer requests, don't we? We talk about our struggles, and then we stand with people for believing for breakthrough, and then even like celebrating our successes and the things that have been going well. So it's just for me, it's just a really, especially as a mum as well, to have that time without my children, with other adults, where I can just be myself and get the support of others, really.
Brilliant. That's great. And, of course, there are some people at this time who are struggling.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that, that we can be real, that we can be authentic, that we can be honest. It's part of what it means to be family, isn't it? And I know that there are some people that are struggling more than others at this time. And so we've actually implemented something as a senior leadership team where we've actually put a survey out there so that because we want to hear your feedback. We want to know, what's going well, what could be improved, any, suggestions that you might have, anything that you want to communicate. Because, sometimes I think, we've all done this, haven't we, where we think that others can read our mind. They think they know what's going on in our lives. And the reality is we don't. We don't know unless someone tells us. If you're struggling, we don't know unless you've let us know. And then once we know, then we can say, okay, what can we do to help you, to work with you? Sometimes it's about signposting, maybe a life group. If you're not feeling cared for, it's normally our first question. Are you in a small group? You're in a life group. If you're not, get in a life group, because that'll make a big difference. Or another would be, what team do you serve on? Because even within the teams, there's a real sense of togetherness and support and encouragement, and we're in this together. And then, of course, there's sort of people having mentoring relationships as well.
Yeah.
So, Pastor Wynell, do you want to share a little bit about this survey, how people can find out about it, how they can follow it, how they can help us? Because actually, we want to hear from people, even if it's like, everything's brilliant, everything's great. Well, let us know. We'd love to get that sort of feedback. It's not just about areas that maybe you've got suggestions for improvement. It's also about, hey, this is what I'm loving. This is what's going really well.
Yeah, hopefully the chat team, they should have the link there prepared to just drop into the chat even right now. But as you say, it's really about us hearing from you. There's just some simple questions. I think most people, it's taken them anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes. But if you could just spare the time and fill it in, I mean, basically it's just choosing multiple choice, yes and no. And also just, as Pastor Daniel said, the thing is, we want to hear how you're getting on, how you're feeling, how we can help you. And we can't do that if we don't hear from you. So we have not had as good of a response as we'd like. So just being honest, I think everyone, if you're not a part of the church and you'd like to fill it in, please do so. But if you are a part of CLC, staff, leaders, whoever you are, we want everyone to do it because we want to hear from them.
Brilliant. Any thoughts from you, Paul or Laura, on this survey and how that can help them and, people watching on the broadcast, how it can help us as a church?
Mm. I think when a church does a survey, um, the feedback that you get really does help you to take it to the next level. Because sometimes we can sit at home passive. Even if we're in the church situation, sometimes people become passive and we don't really know what they would like to see a change in. And we can't second guess everybody all the time. So having that honest feedback helps us then move us to the next level, progress, and be able to offer and embrace. I like the word embrace. When we embrace things, when we embrace ideas and people.
Yeah.
So if you haven't filled in the survey, can I urge you to fill it in so that we can have the feedback into the office and just follow those things through?
Brilliant. And why now, just coming back to you, because I know you're the one you and Bethany putting it together. How long will it take to do the survey? How many questions are in it?
So I think it's right at about 10 questions, but it's, I've been looking at the time scale that it's been taking people to fill it in, and I think it's maximum maybe 3-4 minutes. And I think a good question was posed. I see a comment just come up to me personally saying, what if they can't get it online? So we're happy to, we can email it or we can print a few copies. Basically, the we could just connect you with the office where we could make a time where you could drop by, collect it, and then you could bring it back. But we do want to hear from you. We want to make it available however it's possible, because we just would like people to share with us, their thoughts and their feelings.
Great. We've got a feedback culture here at City Life Church, and we're often asking this question: what does the next level look like? And I think that sometimes we can allow complacency to get in, where even when things are going great, there's always room for improvement. There's always things that we can do better. And even if it's identifying those things that are going well and saying, yeah, well, how can we make the most of that? How can we maximize that? How can we build on that? And I think that in this time that we're in, certainly there's been a lot of creativity and innovations that have been coming out, but it comes often from having honest, real, authentic feedback. Laura, any thoughts from you on this idea of feedback and what we're trying to achieve with the questionnaire that's gone out?
I think it's just important at this time, isn't it? With all the new things that we've been doing and the new ideas we've been coming out with, I think that where we get that feedback in person at church, and we haven't been getting that so much. I think it's important to know: is what we're doing helping people?
Yeah.
Is it making a difference? Are they really enjoying at home what we're doing? So I think it just helps us. Otherwise, we're a bit in the dark, aren't we? We like what we're doing, and we think it's really great, and everyone's working so hard. But it's just nice to know, what do people think of it, really.
I also think, I just wanted to say, I had a couple of comments last week. I know, can we just say, all of us miss seeing each other. I mean, I know any one of us four would be able to say that we, of course, miss everybody. And we'd love to give everybody just a great big bear hug and tell them how much we've missed them. But with the guidelines and just trying to do everything we can, we've tried to do everything we can to supplement that. But also, quite a lovely comment that was made to me by, again, it was another one of part of our E3 leadership team, life group leaders as well, but it was completely unexpected, and they rang me and said that one of the things they have loved is that our broadcasts have felt very much personal, like coming into their home and them feeling just like what you were saying, that we've just, like things like this, we've just tried to make you feel like you're a part of this, and it's not just us up here preaching at you or singing at you. And so the whole way that we've tried to do the feel of the broadcast has been to make people feel like that they're actually a part of it. So that's why the chats and being able to interact and being able to post your comments and you having a voice, I think we've tried to do everything we can. And hearing that feedback that they said that it felt like that in their home, we were in their home, and that they were sat with us, that really, felt great to hear that. And I don't know if, of course, there'll be other people that may not feel the same, but I think we've tried to do that as much as possible. But, we're always trying to do different things, aren't we, to to reach out.
Definitely, definitely. And of course, there have been some questions that have been fed back in about when are we going to be meeting, and, being honest with you guys, we don't have a date yet. And
Yeah.
we just be real, I think sometimes, one of the things that God's been really teaching me in this season is patience.
Yeah.
So often we want to rush in, we want to do, what we've done before. But love is patient. And so sometimes, we want an answer. It's like, God, tell me right now. And sometimes actually God conceals it. Sometimes God's like, no, wait. And he's teaching us something in the process. He's teaching us about how will we be patient. And of course, there have been other churches that have opened up. And I think that's kind of caused where there's been more questions coming. So, wow, other churches are doing it. Yes, some churches have opened up in different forms. Some churches have opened up and then closed again. Some churches, I know Life Church in Bradford, they've made a decision, same with Andy Stanley's church, where they said, we're not going to be having our big main public gathering. There's still going to be lots of other things going on, but we're not going to be actually doing that until January.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to just revert back to what we're used to. And the Church of Jesus Christ is going to continue to grow and enlarge and expand. And we're certainly believing that this is going to be a time for us as a church to thrive. And that when we come through this season, the Bible often says, and it came to pass, we will come through this. And we're really believing that we're going to be stronger. We're going to be more empowered, more equipped, reaching more, doing more, seeing more fruit as a result of that. But of course, those questions have been coming. So we can't actually say this is the date we're coming back. We haven't had a green light in our spirit yet. But there's so many other ways, isn't there, that people can connect. And I think another thing that this season has really highlighted is that, Sunday is not the only thing that sustains us in our life. Like,
That's
we
right.
love the Sunday meeting, and it's always, going to be an important part of our lives. But when it comes to discipleship, it's like if I just relied on one big, roast dinner on a Sunday morning, and waited till the next Sunday morning, of course I'm going to feel famished. I'm going to feel really hungry. I'm going to be really disappointed. But the reality is, yes, you will get some food. You will get some, blessing through church online and gathering together. But the reality is we need to be feeding ourselves every day.
That's right.
And this is where, in the scriptures, Paul actually kind of gets in their face a little bit when he's writing one of these letters, and he says, some of you guys ought to be teaching,
Yeah.
and yet you're still, sucking on your bottle with baby's milk. And so I do believe that there's something that's a shift that we're seeing. Discipleship can never just be about an hour and a half, 2 hours on a Sunday. It's discipleship is a daily thing.
That's right.
So, I'd love to hear, you guys maybe share a little bit about what does it look like to be a disciple? How can we grow in our faith? Because the reality is, if the Sunday meeting is what's stopping us from growing in our faith, there's an issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a problem. There's something wrong. Because Sunday should never be the kind of, the survival pill, but should be the overflow, that we're coming already full, already fired up, already, having read the word. And it should be the overflow of what's been going on during the week. Have you guys got any thoughts or comments around that?
I think just on what you said about like timing and how there are some other churches coming back. I think that obviously God didn't make any of this happen, but I think he's using this season to teach the body of Christ something. And I think that we have to be mindful all the time that maybe he's not finished teaching us what he's trying to teach us yet. And maybe we haven't learned what we're supposed to learn in this season yet. And what you said about being patient. So I'm always really aware that maybe it's not time yet, and we have to trust him that and we've learned, haven't we, that you only move when he speaks. So if he doesn't tell us to do that yet, then we're not supposed to do that yet, because maybe this season hasn't taught us what it's supposed to.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I think echoing that, we're not cookie cutters. We're not all meant to just do it because the next guy's doing it. And I think that I definitely agree that there's a lot that is being learned in this. And you sent us a powerful word by Dr. Sharon Stone, and part of her prophetic word was number one about the fact that where you've been being fed every Sunday, and I'll just quote her, not quote me, but she actually said, "Shame on you if you're not out really sharing the gospel, because you're like fat cats, aren't you? You're just stuffing all this food in, but if you don't have an outlet for that,
Mm.
whereas really all of us should be out sharing, and not just what can we get, but also one thing that she really shared about was that now we are in a season of learning that, what you guys are saying, it's church every day. How can we make something happen every day to where we're reaching out to the community? And I know that families, lots of families, yes, there have been families that have struggled, but there's also been lots of other families that have come together, forgiven each other. There's neighbors that's come together. But I still think that there is an element of that the Lord is really saying, what are you doing? Because if we're just sitting around waiting for a date, guys, I think, we need to really get busy. Stop worrying about the date of when we're going to come back together, and start asking God, what during this season, what that's left, what
Mm.
do I need to be doing to reach out to people? And that's anywhere and everywhere, isn't it?
Yep.
And I think that's so key.
And I think it highlighted for me, I don't know about you, but even though I thought I was doing enough, it did highlight for me that I don't think I was, and I wasn't really reaching out as much as I thought I was. And maybe I was pouring too much into, and I don't want this to sound wrong, but into the Sunday morning, and
Yeah.
not doing enough in my week. And I was just getting on with my week, and I was busy, making myself busy doing the stuff that I knew I needed to get done. But even in this season, I mean, there's been so many things we've done. Even we've got to know our neighbours better, haven't we? We knew them well anyway, but we've built a deeper relationship with them. Even with Love Your Neighbour, I've met so many different new people, and been able to share the gospel in a really easy, just friendship way. It's been easy, really, I think. Whereas I think we can make it so complicated that we have to do all these things when
Yeah.
Mm.
it's not difficult, really.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, and I found where we live, although we know most of the people in the block of apartments where we live, just in this season, the conversations have been different, and they've been longer, and finding out more about, we've all said the same, finding out about more about each other. I met one of the guys in the car park the other day, and we talk when we see each other, but we don't see each other very often, even before lockdown. But the other day, 15 minutes, and he just wanted to just pour out, what was going on with him and his life, in his life, and his wife, and what he has to take. She's disabled; he has to take care of her. But it's a very interesting conversation, very open and very honest type of conversation. And then with the guys I connect with during the week, either by Zoom or by telephone, it really is good. And in fact, because I fitted in with my working schedule, teaching schedule, I know how often I talk to people and connect, and I'm connecting more now than I ever did before, because there's that need there to do it, but also the greater opportunity. And I think this is just a season that we have to use to the advantage of the church, but also at the same time to glorify God in everything that we're doing. And it's not just like we're not just filling in time right now. We're not just keeping time, but we're doing things and we're progressing in a different way.
That's right. We have a great opportunity in this time to really be developing our outreach, to be developing our missional muscles, so to speak. And it should be every single day. We're missional by lifestyle is one of our core values as a church, and I believe that's a core value of the capital C Church worldwide. It's never meant to be just about the gospel being shared on a Sunday morning or evening. yes, that's important. That and they're good on ramps that create some momentum and build some, momentum. So they're really good. And as we shared earlier on in the broadcast, Jesus went to the synagogue. He went to the temple as was his custom. So it was an important part, but it wasn't the only thing. It wasn't the only like main event. But like every day, there was stuff happening. There was people being connected with, and of course, people can meet. So if there are people that are feeling that you want to have that more physical connection, you can do watch parties in your home. So you might think about another household that you could invite and say, hey, let's join together on a Sunday morning or evening, or hey, whenever you decide you want to watch it, because I mean, you can watch it on demand now. But getting families together where there is that sense of fellowship and community and connection, where you're singing together, where you're just, engaging with the word together. So there's lots of different ways. I know that there are many churches. There's a big church in Wigan. I know that you've got some connections with Why Now, and
Yeah.
they're doing that. They're encouraging, saying, hey, there's people that are, the government has said that people can meet in gardens, and so I think you're allowed up to 30. I mean, you might want to check me on that, but there's certainly, certainly more than what would be for a life group, but there's nothing to stop life groups and saying, let's meet in a garden, let's meet in a park, obviously following the advisory, social distancing and all of those precautions and stuff. So we want to be honoring to the government, but I think this is a real time to use your initiative. This is a time where it's like, don't just wait for us as a senior leadership team to tell you what to do, but be led by the Holy Spirit and allow God to speak to you and allow God to lead you, allow God to direct you. You might want to invite your next door neighbors over for some dinner. You might want to, invite a work colleague, to meet up, down the local park for a coffee. There's so many different ways that we can connect, and I think we've just got to sometimes think a bit outside of the box. We've got to be a little bit more creative and stop defaulting back to what we've always known. Any thoughts, any other comments on that, guys, or any other comments from the service, or that you want to respond to some of these comments that have been coming in?
What's coming in?
I loved what Paul just said about, I think you said about the gap and how we're not supposed to think of it as we're just waiting to get back to church, and that God knew this was going to happen. So he's already got something to say about it. He already knew what he wanted us to do, and that it's important that even though it may seem we're getting closer to that point, there's still so much that he wants us to do and that he wants to do. So we continuously need to be asking him, what is it that I'm supposed to, every day really, what is it that I'm supposed to do today? Who am I supposed to speak to? Who am I supposed to meet? Who needs my help or encouragement? Or
Definitely.
I know even our Alpha has, and we're not the only church saying that. Our Alpha has been 2 and 3 times the size of when we met in person, and even the last one. And we've, really reached out to people. I like one thing I see here. David Parkman commented and said, I like what you do, and I would have not started my journey if things had not come online. And he lives on the Isle of Wight, and so he said he wouldn't have found us. And again, here's a perfect example. And we've had emails this week of people reaching out that have just moved in the area saying that they really need help. But I think we also have to remember that some of the emails we've also received in comments, there are still people that are not comfortable coming out in groups. And I know we've had a lot of requests from parents saying, please pray for us now that we're having to send our kids back to school. There's a lot of fear. And so we have to remember that while some of us are coping well, others are still not yet coping and still living in that fear of what could happen and feeling lonely. So it's almost like a catch-22. They feel lonely, but at the same time, they're not that comfortable yet of coming into a group. So it's also about broadening our view and recognizing that it's not just about us. I actually like another thing that I keep mentioning Dr. Sharon Stone, but another thing she said was that Sunday she feels like was really meant for us to all come together and celebrate together. And we hear the word together and everything, but our growth and everything is, like you say, should come every day during the week. And so we should, when we come in on Sunday, we're all fired up, ready to just kind of have that party together where we're all together, isn't it? But it shouldn't be the end all of the where we get our food.
Yep.
Definitely. Any closing thoughts from you, Paul?
I just think we, as you said, we've not heard anything specific or direct from God. And I think we just have to take our time, be led by the Holy Spirit. And I think the time will come when we will come back together. But at this moment, I think is a great harvest opportunity. It really is. But just with the technology that we have that we can use in our own homes to reach out to people, it is a great harvest field that's out there. There are people, as Wynell just said, that are still uncertain, still not sure what to do with their kids. I won't go into it, but I've spent hours again this week working out what we're going to do down the road. And it's there's uncertainty everywhere, but I believe that through it all, we're going to see God's hand and how it's moved in these last few months and how it's going to move in the next few months as to how we all just come back together and how things settle down. And we use what we have now for the glory of God and not keep worrying about ourselves. Woe is me, for I'm undone. I often say that to Wynell when people say, I don't know what I'm going to do. Ask God and He'll tell you and He'll show you. And He will help you rise up and help you be a part of that great harvest that I really believe is going to come in. And we're going to see a lot of new people that are going to come in and find the Lord and put their roots down and move forward with us in 2021.
Brilliant. It's great. Thanks for sharing those words. Well, God bless you all. Thanks ever so much for joining us, and let's keep the conversation going. So do get in touch with the office. You can email us at office@myclc.org.uk. There's also a telephone number that you can find. It's on the screen where you can text us as well. And, we want to keep in touch with you. And so, and again, if something's wrong, if there's a struggle, if there's a challenge, we don't know about it unless you tell us. So just to really encourage you to do that. It's been great connecting with you all today. We love you all very much. We will be back at 6 o'clock for our service. Don't forget the survey as well. We love you lots. Have an amazing rest of your week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.